Hi Stampers, it's Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to show you a simple and beautiful version of a Mother's Day card that I think we should make together using the Sheltering Tree stamp set and the Timeless Textures stamp set. Both of these are still going to be carrying through in the new catalog. So what we're going to do is make a multi-layer card today that you can use for Mother's Day. You really could use it for anything, but we're going to use it for a Mother's Day card. So we're going to be using Sheltering Tree Timeless Textures. We're going to use the, I guess this is the mound of grass, the little grass pieces, the tree, and I'm still kind of torn. I don't really know if I want to use the leaves from the tree or not, but I think I'm going to try it. And then we're going to be using the little, I don't know what pattern this is, it's almost like a graph paper pattern for the background. And then we're going to be using a stamp from the Paper Pumpkin this month, which is the Happy Mother's Day stamp that came in the Paper Pumpkin from April. That's what we're going to use for our greeting. We're going to also use the Decorative Label Punch. And we're going to be using Early Espresso, Garden Green, Basic Black, Calypso Coral, and Pink Pirouette. So let's get started. As I said, we're going to have many layers to this card. So we're going to start off with Early Espresso. And I'm doing this card as a vertical fold card. So this is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And then basically every piece of our paper is just a 1/4 inch smaller. You could do it in 1/8 of an inch if you wanted to use it a little bit thinner, but I went with a 1/4. So this is going to be Pear Pizzazz. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a piece of Pink Pirouette, which is 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have a piece of Very Vanilla. And this one is pretty close to the Pink Pirouette because we're going to tear both of these. So these are kind of just eyeballs. These are really only about 1/8 of an inch off of each other. So these can be pretty similar. You're just going to eyeball it to what you would like it to be. So what we're going to do first is we're going to use our Stampin Pierce Mat. That way we can put some background stamp onto this Pink Pirouette. And we're going to just use Pink Pirouette ink as well. We're going to use the, I guess, as I called it, the graph design. And we're going to just stamp this. It doesn't really need to be in any specific order, but just randomly on the paper. And really, you're really only going to see the edges of this. And remember, we are going to tear the edges, so go all the way around the edge just in case you happen to like one side better than the other, but it doesn't have to be in the middle at all. And just make sure I got this in far enough for tearing. Okay, so then we're going to take, and this is especially important now that we have, the next stamps are going to be photopolymer. Now we're going to take our piece of Very Vanilla, and first what we're going to do is stamp our tree. We're going to do that in Early Espresso. Let me ink that up. And remember, with the photopolymer stamps, you kind of want to let them sit for a second just for the ink to transfer off of the stamp onto your paper. And I'm going to put this more towards the bottom, again, because we were going to tear. Okay, very nice. And then I'm going to take the swath, I guess that's what you call it, I don't even know, the mound of grass. And what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do the grass, actually I'm going to add one more color in. I'm going to do Wild Wasabi, and then we'll make the little sprigs that stick up a little bit darker in the Garden Green. So Wild Wasabi is going to be for the mound of grass. Okay, and that's going to just go towards the bottom. Good. And then we're going to take our little pieces of the little grass that sticks up. We're going to put that on this tiny block. We're going to stamp this in Garden Green. Put that at the top. Just put a couple of these. These also have flowers that you can add on to them, but we're just going to make them as crazy grass pieces. Okay, and now I think I'm going to add in that the floral part of the tree. So we're going to pretend like this is blossoms. We're going to use this in Calypso Coral. And what we'll do with this, instead of leaving it on the full 5 seconds, we'll pull it off a little bit early. That way it doesn't get too dark of a color. We'll just put that on there. And we'll just do 1, 2, 3. That way it's still fairly light. And if you see there's a little bit of a spot here missing, you can always go back. This one does have the extra, if it bothers you. For me, I'm not going to do it. But it does have the extra blossom pieces with this stamp set. You see, these are actually for the flowers. So you could fill that in if you wanted to. But I like it the way it is, so I'm going to leave it. But in case you're particular, you can certainly do that. And then, I think that's all I'm going to add on to this one. So then the other thing I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to grab a little scrap piece of very vanilla. I don't think I have any scraps, so we're just going to use this one. And I'm going to stamp the Mother's Day stamp in the Archival Black ink. Okay, let's see if that fits on here. And we're just going to punch this out with the decorative label punch. So if you haven't been to the Stampin' Up! Store lately, you probably should get there, because there's a lot of things that are disappearing very quickly off of the retirement list if there's something that you're interested in. So I would definitely get there quickly. I actually placed an order for something and I put it in the box and I was kind of holding, and now it's gone, and it's gone for good because it's something that is not coming back. So we're going to put that with the decorative label punch. So get to the store if there's something you want to get. And I'm going to use a sponge. I'm just going to sponge the edge of this in the Calypso Coral. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, so that's going to be our greeting. So I'm going to rip this. So this is going to be ripped kind of really however you want it ripped. So that's why I said if you tear some pieces off, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to rip it across the top as well. And that's also why I said this was kind of a measurement of, we don't really know what it's going to be until you rip it and decide for yourself. So I'm sponging this again, also in Calypso Coral. And I'm just going to go around the edges as well. Okay. And then I'm going to take, so this is my layer of Pink Pirouette. And what I'm going to do is kind of just hold them, not really exact, but I'm going to rip this one as well. Once I have my rip started. This one I'm not going to rip quite as far down. And same thing on this side, not quite as far. So keep it a little bit more true to the measurement, just so it'll give that nice layer of depth. And the same thing, I'm going to do this with the Calypso Coral. And actually, if you wanted your little grid pattern image to show up, you could have done that in Calypso Coral as well instead of stamping it in Pink Pirouette. But I kind of wanted it to almost blend in as if you couldn't tell if it was or wasn't already part of the paper. So that's going to be there, and we'll put our layer on like that. I'm going to rip this just a little bit more because there, that's better. You can always responge. It's not too big of a deal. Let's see what that looks like. That's really pretty. Okay, and the only other thing, so let me get my stuff out of the way. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put, did I put that away? Let me grab my ribbon real quick. I'm going to put some, if I can find it, 3/8 inch Whisper White stitch satin ribbon. Where in the world did I put it? Here it is. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these two together with some snail. Just going to stick that on there. And then I'm going to just put this ribbon just right across the middle there. Not really anything specific, so I'm just going to put a line on here about where I think I want it. And I'll wrap this across. Kind of just gives it just that little extra added bit of visual interest. Let me fix that. It's a little crooked. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this up onto dimensionals. So I'm going to also use the, I'll just use the Wild Wasabi since that one's out. I'm going to use the Wild Wasabi and I'm going to sponge the edges of the Pear Pizzazz. You don't have to do this. I really like sponging though. I think it gives a lot of dimension to something, really without a whole lot of effort. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to finish assembling our card. I'm going to actually pop this up on dimensionals. So we're going to put 5 dimensionals on here. One more. Put this up here, just like that. Put a little bit of snail. Sorry about all that outdoor sounds. It's really pretty here today, so we have all the windows open. And we're going to put this onto a panel of, this is Early Espresso. And then we're going to just put our little Mother's Day sentiment on here as well. You can put this, if you didn't like it on the front, you could certainly also put it on the inside of the card if you didn't want to put it onto the front. But I'm going to put it onto the front. I'm just going to put this right down here. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of a bow. If you wanted to, you don't like it there, you could put it up here on the top. There's so many different things that you could do with this card. There's also a lot of versatility. You could even use this as a happy birthday card. So if you didn't, you know, or no greeting on the front card, as I usually do quite a lot, you could center it. You could put your greeting on the inside. You could use a whole different greeting with a completely different punch. You could use the word window punch, which is also retiring soon. You could use the, you could do a flag end of your, if you had just a sentiment that went straight across with the, for example, the teeny tiny wishes. So that is a, let me see if I can find that Mother's Day one. So that is a really small one. That's a great one as well. So you could stamp this and then you could just flag both ends of it, and that would be something smaller if you want to do that instead. So hope I gave you some ideas there. This is a really impactful but a pretty quick card for Mother's Day or any occasion really. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. You could always leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you on my blog, which is rachthestamper.wordpress.com. And once again, if there's anything you want to get in the online store, get it before it's gone, because things do not last very long once they announce the retirement list. You can reach me at rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Hope to hear from you guys soon, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.